Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. On a Monday, that must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just great. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I had a wonderful vacation this last weekend. My girlfriend and I did a citycation. We rented a room in a fancy hotel and we hung out and we went to bars and dressed up in fancy clothes, and then we went to a natural history museum down here. So I am feeling good off of that one.
And you recovered from the weekend, and now here you are on
Yeah,
Monday.
yeah, I'm
Back,
I'm finally recovered from it.
back to the grind, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, I the grind had to wait until like 2 p.m. because my little dog was staying with my parents and they live 2.5 hours from me. So
Okay. So you
yeah,
went and got her, huh?
yeah, and that was a 5 hour drive. That was 5 hours of driving. Oof.
Hmm. She's doing okay?
Oh yeah, she's fine. She's happy to be home. Not acting a fool right now. So,
Hmm. Cool.
um,
I was gonna say, I guess we can roll into our stuff for Clown Jane and kind of get the ball rolling with discussing other stuff too. Maybe more city stuff,
yeah,
or
sounds good. Well, oh, sorry. Oh man, I mean, I am an old man. It's 9:30. What do you expect
so
from me?
it's exciting, riveting stuff that we do here, obviously, because I mean, I yawn too. So, but here we are on a Monday and we're trying to just make stuff and hang out. So, yeah, yawns are expected on a Monday
Yeah,
night.
well, yeah, as they say, um, in the biz, I don't, I don't. I got nothing, man. I'm just gonna just let's can we cut and redo it? I mean, I feel like
I know we can't. We're on a live show here.
oh no.
You got to deal with the stressors of.
I
Anyway.
love those gags on sitcoms where it's like, can we just cut that part out? And the newscaster's like, this is live television, sir.
Well, I'll share my screen and kind of show us where we left off. I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna pick up where we left off. You know how sometimes I just kind of change gears. Well, here's where I'm at with the signage for Prickly Pear.
Okay, all right. So you made some progress here.
Yeah, and let me revisit the sketch again just for fun. There's some. I'm gonna kind of go along this route. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty a little more simpler, still pretty straightforward. I like this, but it's just
It's very complicated.
yeah. So let's go with simplicity. So I'm gonna kind of aim this way.
Okay.
Not exactly like this sketch, and so I've kind of picked out some fonts that I liked. And here's where we're at right now. Um, so now I am actually gonna bring this in the Flash as well and kind of do a little bit. Well, actually, I'm gonna do a little more. I'm gonna actually make the pricklies for the
Mm-hmm.
actual.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll end up rotating it, like this. Once I bring it into the Flash environment,
Mm-hmm.
for there. But anyway, while I'm doing this, before our call, you were talking about you're sort of semi excited about Matrix.
Oh yeah. It is an interesting thing. Like when I heard that they were doing a fourth one, my first thought was is like, who is the audience for this? Right? I mean, this is a thing that stopped being cool in the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the younger movie going audience at this point wasn't even alive when the first Matrix came out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, who is the audience for this? Well, I think I am, James.
Really? So they're making it for you.
Apparently. So there's been two trailers released at this point, and the first one was released, and I'm like, all right. I was like, I mean, I didn't really see anything in there that I disliked, and I kind of got where they were going with it. At the end of spoilers, at the end of Matrix Revolutions, Neo dies and his consciousness dies inside the Matrix. So it's not that surprising, that he's sort of reborn in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie makes it clear that the Matrix isn't destroyed, but it's at a temporary truce with the humans. So it's been a long time. It's reasonable to believe that truce disintegrated it at some point.
Okay.
Um, Anyway, from a context standpoint, they did a pretty good job, at least in the trailer, going, okay, I can see why there could be another Matrix here. But the visuals looked really good too. Um, the fight sequences seemed interesting. The characters seemed like they could be interesting. I mean, I don't know. It was a very light trailer, but it seemed pretty cool. And then they released a second trailer, and it was more of the same. It was a lot of cool shots, and they're explicitly, they're doubling down on history repeating itself, right? So the entire trailer is intercut with footage from the first three movies and very brief scenes from the new movies that are intentional references to the first film in the vein of the deja vu, right? That was the big thing in the original Matrix. If there's a deja vu, that means there's agents approaching. So this concept of history repeating itself, and then obviously in the Matrix Reloaded, when Neo goes and sees the architect, and the architect explains that the Matrix is rebooted on a regular basis, it all really makes sense within the context of what they're doing with the trailer and what came before. And again, the footage all seemed really cool. Yeah. So
so you're talking about this trailer, and you're saying that there's throwbacks to the other ones, kind of like a little wink and a nod towards the originals.
no, I mean like explicit lines of dialogue that are lifted and like shots recreated
Okay.
in the new movie. So it's pretty clear that it's not like an homage. Like the fact that history is repeating itself is a central part of the storyline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I was never a huge fan of the Matrix. I saw the original, I thought it was just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Watched number two, and then I checked out. I was like, I don't know, I don't think. I think I may have saw parts of Revolutions, or which one's the last one?
That's Revolutions. Yeah.
Revolution. And then which is the version? Which one is one where Neo became Superman and flies around everywhere?
That was the second one. That was the one where they just way too much CGI. Like even shots that should have been done practically, they did CGI.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I remember, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this movie. I don't think I need to see the next one. I don't care what they do with it. I'm sort of just done.
Mm-hmm.
I was never really I never was a huge fan of it at all. You and I are both comic book nerds, sort, for the most part, and I felt like I've read this story so many times before in comic book form, but it's fun. I mean, I know they kind of mainstreamed it, the whole deja vu thing about, oh, you're living in simulation, but is that, can we consider that tropey at this point?
Yeah, I mean, all of the Matrix is very tropey. I mean, it created new tropes along the way, but I mean, it relied on a lot of things that you're right. Anime had spent a lot of time doing. I mean, Ghost in the Shell, I believe, was a massive influence, inspiration point for the Matrix.
Mhm.
But I really liked the Matrix in 1999. I thought it was very different, and I think realistically, at least for a Hollywood blockbuster, it really was very different.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Mhm.
saw these things in the fringes, like in comic books and anime, but neither one of those were mainstream at the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, The Matrix felt really fresh as a result of it. Now, it doesn't hold up. I mean, if you and I go back and watch it now as an adult, and you weren't a huge fan, but, I really was it came out in 99, and the sequels came out in the early 2000s. And I was a big fan of the first one. I liked it a lot. Despite it's tropey, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with tropes.
Mhm.
It's how you organize them to create something interesting. And then the
Yeah.
second one came out, and it had some really grand ideas that were hampered by its over reliance on technology that wasn't ready to support it,
Mhm.
and sort of the personal hobbies of the Wachowskis, including sadomasochism and bondage and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That, quite frankly, just it sort of got in the way of the storytelling. I mean, there's this entire, God, it feels like it was 10 minutes long, dance orgy in Zion halfway through the movie for no reason. it didn't move the plot line forward. It didn't
Yeah.
do anything to contribute to the overall narrative of the film. It was just sort of this self-indulgent moment that it just really slowed down the pace of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't even. This happened in number two again.
Yeah, this is
This
number two.
I didn't even remember it. I just remember there was an impressive freeway scene in it, and I thought, wow,
Yes.
that was pretty neat to watch.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
And then Neo just flying around the city, and then me kind of just falling half asleep, watching it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like the Hudson Agent Smith fight was a great idea that failed because the technology wasn't there.
Mhm.
Like today, I think they could do it and they could really sell it, right? They could do it practically for the most part, and then do face replacement technology, which is exceptionally good now. They get a bunch of stunt people that are about the height and build approximately of Hugo Weaving, and then just digitally map his face onto all of them. And they could have actually done a much better job with that sequence. Um, it
Is
was
there is there a reason why they wouldn't get Hugo Weaving to reprise his role somewhat? I mean, I know he's aged, obviously, but
he is basically kind of retired. I feel like
oh, okay.
yeah, he's kind of out. I think he refused to come back and play Agent Smith
Really?
again. Yeah, I mean, similar to he refused to come back and play Red Skull in Avengers: Infinity War, so they had to recast him. So it's someone else playing Red Skull in Infinity War.
Huh.
Um,
So wait. Are you saying that was Red Skull at the end of Endgame?
yeah, well, the guy who was protecting the Soul Stone,
Yeah.
yeah, that was Red Skull.
I couldn't tell if they were trying to be coy or trying to be sort of hinty about it, but like it
No,
didn't really say much about it. Like it's like, was
yeah.
that
No,
or
that was
what?
apparently his punishment for trying to use the stone inside the Tesseract was to become the warden of the Soul Stone. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to think about it. It was just
Mm,
another excuse to try to bring back another character from the previous movies.
yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, so the Matrix Reloaded had a couple of good ideas. The freeway chase scene in particular was one of my favorites.
Hmm.
Um, and there was a lot of CG, but it was it worked for that because it was all so very fast and there was a lot of like machines and stuff, and machines work better than humans in CG.
Yeah.
And it was good though. That was great, and so there's some really good moments. But overall, I thought that the Reloaded was kind of a mess.
Hmm.
But then the Revolutions I really liked. Um, because most of the movie was in Zion and it was humans in mech suits fighting giant squid robots for like an hour and a half practically. And
Hmm.
that's fun. Like that was super fun. There wasn't a huge amount of story. It
Hmm.
was just humans in mech suits fighting robots, and that was pretty cool. I liked that. Um, and the Neo Trinity Agent Smith storyline is wrapped up, and I thought a pretty interesting way. And they intentionally built the final conflict like it was an anime fight, right? Like the power is over 9,000. I mean, they talked about that um, in like production documentaries. That's things that you get on DVDs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Featurettes. That's what I was looking for.
Hmm.
How they were deeply inspired by anime and they wanted to kind of do their homage to the epic Dragon Ball style fights that you see in popular anime.
That's hilarious,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. And so the final battle was very much something that was out of Dragon Ball Z, intentionally so. And it was good, and I liked it. And then the series ended, and that was that, right? And unfortunately, it was kind of punished for its sins, both that it was guilty of and that it wasn't guilty of, right? I liked the architect scene in the middle of the Matrix Reloaded. I know it wasn't like a lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Where that guy in the white suit like waxes on and on and on and uses all of these $10 words and basically explains that the Matrix is constantly being rebooted and
Mm-hmm.
that Neo is just supposed to walk through that door to start the reboot process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Neo chooses the other path, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good, and then that was the end of the Matrix, so we thought. So the fact that there's a fourth one is interesting.
So you don't feel like so it's funny. Like I have a mixed. Even though I didn't enjoy the Matrix, there is fond memories of the Matrix. So I remember like you and I were at Warner Bros. At that time, and that was a big deal movie over there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Website, the game, all kinds of stuff. So there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
good memories associated with the buzz around that movie and getting stuff done for it. On our side of things. But but now here we are, 20 plus years later, and
Yeah.
is it my first thought was is a cash grab kind of things like they just want to try something out and try to push it and get some more money for this franchise kind of a thing. That's how I felt, but maybe I mean I don't know. You're pretty you can be pretty jaded about this stuff too. So the fact that you're kind of excited about it, that's good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
it definitely could be a grab. Um, but at least from the footage that I've seen, it seems like they're really working to make a new movie that um, is worthy, at the very least, of the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other two notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It doesn't appear to be abandoning what was established in the other two movies because um, it talks about Neo's death. It talks about his death in the Matrix. So it's definitely aware how the previous movie ended.
And when's that coming out? It's coming out around Christmas time, right?
Yeah. Right around Christmas time. There's a couple of really good movies coming. The Guillermo del Toro's new film Nightmare Alley comes out on the 17th,
Uh-huh.
which is like frustrating because I'm going to a friend's party on the 17th. But I'll pick it up like the following weekend or something.
Sure. Uh,
And then the Matrix is right around that time as well.
cool.
So
So I can't remember right. We left off last week talking about homework. My homework assignment for you, and I wanted you. Hoping you'd get a chance to see Ghostbusters Afterlife because I was been itching to talk to you about that. That's something to kind of pass time, but you haven't had a chance yet. But that's another one. I'm curious. I just want to get your. Yeah, I want to get. I can't wait to talk about it officially.
yes, I will not talk about it. Be talking about it today. Unfortunately, I have not seen it. I will see it this week.
Mhm.
My calendar is relatively light from a personal time standpoint. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, though I am pretty busy with work. So at some point, I will definitely um, head to the theater one of those nights and see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then we can talk about it next week. That is my goal.
uh, back to work here for us.
Yeah.
Quickly, did I spell it right? Do we need an E in there? Quickly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just prickly, like you've got it.
All right. I was gonna do a Google search, but
Yeah. No, there's no E.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, back to work for a second. Let's just kind of look here. Yeah, I'm building it out.
I mean, it's crazy to me how easy it is to make a fluorescent effect. Um, you
You
just
know,
select a blur and then you pull it out a little bit and boom. Like it's amazing how quickly it turns into
yeah,
a
it's
neon sign.
it's coming together. My goal is to try to get this done before our stream tonight, but we'll see. It's getting there. Down to death the last two, but this one's pretty elaborate. This sign is right here, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is where I'm going to earn my money and try to get this done by quitting time today.
The,
But
the check's in the mail.
um, yeah, so yeah. Meanwhile, yes, I do want to check out. I mean, I checked out Ghostbusters Afterlife, and yeah, I walked away not disappointed. I mean, I walked away and I liked it, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk more about it.
I mean, generally speaking, everybody who I've seen has liked it.
Yeah.
Um, some people more than others. I have a couple of friends who are crazy Ghostbusters fans,
Oh yeah.
and from the standpoint of their takeaways. They loved it. So it is clearly hitting all the right nostalgia buttons the way the 2016 reboot did not hit.
Yeah, yeah,
And I agree. I mean, like I don't the all female thing was a non-starter for me. I don't care who's cast in it. It just wasn't good. Like it just
yeah.
was a bad movie with a bad script. Like that that was it, you know.
They were all talented too. That was what's
Yeah.
frustrating. It's like, gosh, and again, it comes down to writing. If you get decent writing, it's amazing what you can kind of pull together.
Well, I mean, and I think that that's the problem. It was Paul Feig directed it, and you know, he's one of these directors like Adam McKay that when he's doing comedy, he usually just calls action, and they have a script which then the actors, immediately ignore,
Hmm.
and then it's up to the editor to try to create some sort of narrative out of the 1,000 hours of film that they capture.
Hmm.
And I get the sense that the same thing happened here, but Ghostbusters is surprisingly narrative driven, right? A movie like Anchorman, which Adam McKay directed, I mean, there's no real narrative to that movie. It's just a bunch of friends goofing off for 90 minutes, and it was fun because there was no stakes. There was nothing mattered in that movie. I mean, there was some quasi story about a woman entering the newsroom,
Hmm.
but it was not particularly well explored. But that really wasn't the point of the movie either.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the first Ghostbusters was actually a really, really well drafted story, um,
Yeah,
and
it was. It
the
was.
2016 reboot was not a good story. It was very poorly constructed, and I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of improvising that they did on set and turned into a movie.
Yeah. It felt like they wanted to just front load it with the talent first, and then just ride around it and hope for the best. And
Yeah.
it just didn't work, sadly.
Yeah, and there were too many sight gags and pratfalls and Schadenfreude, and it wasn't about the characters. I mean, because at the end of the day, like, the original Ghostbusters was about the characters and their chemistry and their relationships,
Yeah.
and there was no character development in the 2016 version. It was just boring. I mean, that was its biggest sin, right? It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. That's what that. Yeah. It was
So,
just.
but you
Yeah.
say that Afterlife doesn't at least suffer from that
No, I think
sin.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, but we can rave about that. We can either rave or debate about it.
Yeah, yeah, we could relitigate Ghostbusters Afterlife after I've seen it.
But in the meantime,
Wow, look at that.
we got something.
So, can I make a request?
Of course.
Can you make some of the bulbs in prickly black, like they're
Yeah. Oh,
burnt out?
terrific. Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Totally. That's totally a Mitchell thing. Of course.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do that. Hang on a
Okay.
second. I'm gonna angle it a little bit. It's a little bit too close to the bar. I mean, it would be technically up here. So
Yeah. Yeah, but we want to keep it at a reasonable height just so it's easier to shoot, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me take some of these bulbs out. Uh, what if I took that
Hmm.
out? Actually, what I'm going to do, I'll take these guys out. Put them on a layer just for safekeeping. Turn that into a guide. They'll be gone in the actual
It'd
version.
be
Yeah.
fun if like they could one or two of them could actually flicker.
Yeah. And we could do that through animation for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
We can do that for sure later. But yeah, here we go.
I
I
love
think
it.
we take that. We get like maybe I'll take one. Maybe I'll put one of the balls back. I don't know yet. But yeah, out of the P. I don't want to go too crazy with this, but
No, I know. It's a subtle thing, right?
yeah.
But I mean, I think that's great. I really think that sign is phenomenal. And
And
it's
just like
interesting.
that,
Do you
we
do
got.
you have the very first sketch that you did still?
Yeah. I mean, You,
I just like to compare and contrast, like, and this is, exactly how the creative process works, right? I just want to compare and contrast where you started
yeah, like
and then where we ended up, right?
yeah, here's some earlier. I mean, you talk about these things, just
Yeah,
the
those initial thumbnails that you were just doing experiments with before you even knew what a prickly pear was.
yeah, exactly. All right, let's go through. Let's just go through our history here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll move this out of the way so you can kind of get a clear view. So yeah, we got that one, that one,
Mm-hmm.
that one. Yeah, heart shaped one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was an experiment for sure.
yeah.
We like that one kind of.
We did like that one, and then this
And
is
there
the
we
one.
go. And do you have any of the older ones, or did those all go in the
Uh,
trash?
you remember how I threw things out? This is where I shouldn't throw things out, I guess.
I guess. I mean, just for historical context more than anything else.
Let's see here. Let me try this version. Don't save. Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, these are really old. I mean,
Yeah, that was the idea, right? I just kind of wanted to see the very, very origin point, and how some of this kind of carries over, right?
mhm.
Um, the angled words, the fruit in the background, the different shapes for each of the words, like those core themes actually persist, right?
Yeah.
But then the actual final design is significantly different, um, from the initial thumbnails. So it's just interesting to see these very early drawings and how they eventually turned into the final product.
Yeah. 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 I'm pretty happy with where we got.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great sign.
Yeah. So again, on the outside, I have it envisioned where Mitchell's Bar, it'll still say the good old fashioned classic saloon on the front because he was just
Mm-hmm.
lazy to fix that. But once you get inside, this is where you actually see the real name of the real name
Yeah,
of the bar.
absolutely. No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's phenomenal. I really love it.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy with it too. Yay. Enjoy the victories when we get them.
That's right. That's right. All right. Another thing in the can. Ship it. Mass produce it. Get it to the customers.
Ship it exactly. Cool. Well, for next week, I think. I mean, we're kind of getting close to time, so I'm just trying to think ahead here. For next week, I'm going to go back to just working on the shots that we already have at Animatic Two, and
Mm-hmm.
keep working that. Keep working on those lines and keep on trucking, I guess.
Excellent. Well, I mean, we're 2 minutes out. Um, so I guess I'll start going through our closing spiel, and then we'll be right at 30 minutes for the evening, which is rare.
Yeah.
We've been running over pretty significantly lately.
Well, what happened was is I was trying to get this done in 30 minutes, and like look, and then I showed up early. Yeah, so I'm happy about that.
True
Uh,
enough. True enough. Yeah.
but yeah,
Well, anyway, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook and all the good stuff. We're on Twitter as well. Just look for Calamity Jane. We'll show up. You're watching this on YouTube, presumably, or you found the video through Facebook. So I feel like that this is an unnecessary pitch or explanation, but that's how the kids do it, right?
I think that's what yeah.
Okay. Or you can head over to our Patreon site, which you can find by just typing in calamityjane.rocks in your little bar of URLs. And that'll take you right to our Patreon site. And please consider joining and helping us make this cartoon a reality. We're basically doing this for free. So if you want us to make more of these once we're done and continue to entertain you 1/2 hour at a time on Monday nights while we make the cartoon, then yeah, consider joining us. But other than that, I think we're pretty much wrapped for the evening, James. So I'm going to say goodnight and stay safe out there, everybody.
Take care. Till next time.
Night all. And we're done.